Welcome, everybody, to the ALF Operations Podcast, where we talk appliance, operation, and whatever else is going on in the assisted living world. Presented by ALF Boss. Welcome, everybody, to the ALF Boss Podcast. This episode is going to be a little different than my usual format. I'm always getting calls from everybody and hearing about different issues going on in the ALF world. And recently, new stuff has come up on the radar, new chatter, and I thought it'd be beneficial to share with you guys to kind of discuss this topic and to keep everyone out of trouble and compliant. So today, we are going to be discussing mold. Yes, that's correct, mold. This topic is particularly important now because we are seeing a significant increase in citations by the health department and ACA, and we're also seeing an uptake in actual lawsuits, and this will surprise you, maybe not, actually coming from staff. You see, we live in a new age now, right? Everybody has a smartphone that has a camera, and residents are snapping pictures, staff are snapping pictures, and if they get those pictures in the right hands, you guys are as good as guilty. And that's what we're seeing across the state right now. So it was kind of, it caught my attention, definitely. So for that reason, we're going to do this podcast. And I have a good friend of mine, and I'm bringing her on because she is like my mold expert. Whenever I get a facility that calls me with a mold issue with a facility, I always turn them to her. I'll call her because I know ALF, but I don't know science and I don't know mold. So I always turn to her. So I want to introduce you guys to Miss Jennifer Carlo. Jennifer, welcome.
Thank you for having me. So happy to be here.
So first off, Jennifer, I'm going to hit you with this basic question because a lot of people think they know, but they really don't know. So what is mold?
Mold is microbial growth. It is a living thing, and living things spread and reproduce, as we know. So that's the problem with mold. Mold can start very quickly. It can actually start within 24 hours of water intrusion for some kinds. And it can spread very quickly and easily. And sometimes it's invisible to the eye. So that's the tricky part.
All right. So let me get this clear. So mold is a living thing, right? And so in order to have mold, what factors do we need to have?
You need humidity, you need water, and you need a surface where the mold will thrive, where it will grow. So a lot of times this happens around pipes, the usual suspects, or if there's water intrusion through your roof and the ceiling. Anytime water comes into contact with our Florida homes, we know that we have drywall inside our homes, it's paper. That's kind of the perfect condition for it to grow.
Okay, so you mentioned, because this is funny to me, because you mentioned we need water, we need humidity, right? And right now in the summer here in Florida, I mean, I think the humidity outside, I step outside, I'm soaking wet. The humidity is like 120%. So definitely high growth environment for that to grow, right? Now, my next question is the mold. There's different types, or it's all one type, or how does that work?
Correct. There are different types of mold, and depending on the type of mold, it also has to do with how fast it can grow and spread. In order to know what type of mold you have to actually take a sample and take it to testing to know exactly what kind you have and what amount you have. But yes, there are different kinds, and different kinds have different impacts.
So a lot of times when I go and I do, my mock surveys, I do inspections in facilities, I will come across, I'll see around the AC vents or, underneath the sinks in the resident rooms, I'll see some mold. So, it's a little bit of it. But in your professional opinion, is there usually a bigger problem behind that usually?
Yes. More times than not, the answer is yes.
Yeah, it's a little scary. Okay. I had some in my house that I might want to look into. All right. So, because a lot of these facilities, we pointed out to them, they'll go ahead and they'll get their maintenance guy to come and I've been guilty of this in the past, get some bleach water or whatever and kind of scrub it down and wipe it down, and magic, it's gone, right? Or is it really gone?
It's actually not. The danger with using bleach or Clorox to wipe down mold is that you can actually activate the spores. As I mentioned earlier, it's a living thing. So you can actually activate and agitate the spores to even reproduce further. So you could be actually making.
So we're making the mold angry when we do the bleach thing. So
Yeah,
gone. It's from what we can see, it's gone, but behind the walls or whatever, it's growing more now. Oh yeah.
correct.
If anybody's tuning into this, that's a good bit of education right there, just to make the whole thing worthwhile. Because I know a lot of people, most cases at home or whatever, that's what they're doing. They're just kind of covering up the mold, which is definitely what you're saying, not the right thing to do, right? Oh, let's talk about, health risk and symptoms and things like that, because the elderly population, their immune systems are very fragile. What are some things that this mold can cause in residents, health concerns?
That's a great question. The elderly population, as we know, is very vulnerable, and they have a lot of vulnerable lungs. So they suffer from respiratory issues. Well, these respiratory issues can be exacerbated or worsened by breathing mold, by being exposed to mold. If they have COPD, if they have lung COVID, long-term mold inhalation can cause some just further complications that could result in even hospitalization. Allergic reactions, you could see some of that. Asthma attacks, you really want to understand that what you're breathing can really make your lungs worse.
And I kind of read up on it a little bit before we jumped on it. I was seeing anything from wheezing, skin rashes, to shortness of breath, for some who have chronic, breathing issues. So pretty scary stuff, man. So let's say we're putting on our hunting hats here, or our detective hats, and we're looking for some mold in our facilities. What are certain places maybe you might recommend that they start looking?
So I call them the usual suspects, right? So your usual suspects is anywhere where water is flowing or there's contact with water. So any behind appliances, underneath your sinks, underneath around your shower. Look in your bathrooms. Are your bathrooms well ventilated? Because if there's a lot of humidity accumulated from just taking showers and there's not enough ventilation, humidity can accumulate in the bathroom itself. So look up to your ceilings. Do you see a water stain on your wall? Do you see any bubbling on any part of your wall or ceiling? Those are going to be your usual suspects. I forgot one more.
Gotcha.
Also, where your sliding doors are, because that's your contact with the outside and window sills. So all that part where the window and the wall meet, those are your usual suspects as well.
Gotcha. And I'll throw one more in there. I was reading through some inspection from the health department, and I saw one that was kind of trouble. A lot of facilities have the juice and soda or water guns that they use to kind of fill up the glasses and stuff. And the inspection report from the health department actually had mold on the tip, where the gun, where the water, where the fluids come out of the gun. So that's kind of ill, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, water and liquids, and there you go, you got liquids there. So facilities, make sure you're checking those out. Make sure you're getting those cleaned as well. And like I said, I wanted to bring this to everybody's attention because health departments and the Agency for Healthcare Administration are giving citations for this. And I've seen a few of the cases that it got really severe that, residents, they had to shut rooms down in order to go ahead and get all this stuff treated because they had to let it go for so long. They kept wiping it away, and it kept growing and growing and growing behind the walls. So they had about 4 rooms that they had to shut down, and they actually didn't have the extra beds in the facility to house the residents. So the residents had to go to other facilities. It was a mess. They had to go to other facilities and things like that. Well, all this stuff got repaired. So you definitely don't want parts of your facility getting shut down. And like I said, the other thing now is staff. So if you have disgruntled staff and they're taking pictures of this stuff, there's been lawsuits that are settled, because they have the pictures of this mold that they took, and they just have to put that in the hands of an attorney. Attorney goes and files the lawsuit, and of course, the pictures are there, the evidence is there. They're settling those lawsuits. So definitely want to save some money on that. So look out for that as well. So you mentioned like water is one of the biggest things, right? So I know sometimes a lot of facilities, residents, and toilets, things like that, they have a lot of floods and, the overflows, and sometimes it gets even bad. It'll flood out a hallway and things like that. Most of the facilities now, they're getting that new wood flooring installed. Water can seep under there, and the mold can start growing under there, I would assume, right?
Absolutely. If you have any situation with water flood, the key is to dry out the area immediately. If you can get that problem resolved, you can avoid mold from growing. And that's the beauty of it. But you have to be very expeditious. You have to be fast and call out experts who can dry out your area to avoid mold from growing.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, because I was thinking in my head that water gets under there and you're as good as toast. That's it. Then you're going to have mold. There's no questions asked. But it can be professionally dried out. You're saying if it's done the right way with the right equipment, that you could save the flooring.
Correct. It can if it's addressed quickly, because mold can grow as quickly as 24 to 48 hours after the water contact and the water intrusion. So that's why you want to be really fast at drying out your area to avoid mold from growing.
Wow. Okay, that's another good bit of information there because I thought water's under there. You just okay, we're gonna have mold and there's not much we can do unless we pull the floor out. That's really good to know as well. So next question, because this stuff sounds to me like repairs and stuff like that might be pretty expensive. I'm just gonna throw a shot in the dark here. Is there any chance maybe insurance might cover some of this stuff, or is this all in the facility?
It actually does. Every policy is different and unique, so we would have to review it. But yes, a lot of policies have their water mitigation coverage, which we can review for emergencies, and they'll also have their mold coverage. So we will have to see how much there is and how much you would need. But yes, we work with insurances all the time.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. That's it's not. Oh my goodness, I can see a lot of facilities kind of being afraid to call somebody out because a lot of facilities play the game that if I don't know about it, I play dumb. Then, but like we're starting to see now, it affects the residents, it affects the staff. They can get cited, and it is you might not see it, but this stuff is continuously growing behind the walls and in the ceilings, etc. And eventually it'll pop back out. So, definitely good information. Now. Do you guys like do inspections for facilities, things like that, or?
We want to be a community partner, and not every single case of mold requires professional big remediation. So what we like to do is that we like to be a resource, and we can provide free inspections where we can actually teach your maintenance staff or whoever is in charge of inspecting your facility some tips on first how to avoid this problem from happening in the first place, and if it's small enough, how to remediate it yourselves. There is a point where you need professional help because of the size or the type of the mold, but there might be some things that you can do in-house if done properly. And we'll be happy to educate any of the ALFs who want to call us and learn about how to do this to avoid the problem from growing. Because again, if caught early, it can really be remediated pretty simply.
So that sounds like a pretty good deal to me. I mean, just give you guys a call. You'll do a quick free inspection for them, and then you're saying you're gonna even teach them things to look for and everything. So, guys, I mean, you don't even have to have mold, that's on or whatnot. But if you'd like for them to come in and kind of educate your staff, your maintenance staff, on things to look for and etc., to help you guys stay in compliance and stay out of trouble and have bigger problems down the road with this mold issue, I mean, definitely give them a call or reach out to them. How can they reach out to you guys?
We can be called at 305-990-0102. Again, our number is 305-990-0102. You can also find us on Facebook at All Dry Miami. We can also email us at alldrymiami.com. So you can find us in any of those three ways.
Awesome. And I'm going to throw something even more in there. I want to thank you, Jennifer, for joining us today, and educating everybody. And you guys have thrown out a special offer that I can offer to our listeners. Mention ALF Boss, and like I said, you'll get access to a free ALF mold report and guide. And they'll also come out and do your free inspection, educate your staff like she just spoke. So this is actually an excellent opportunity for you guys to ensure your facility is safe and compliant. I'll post the link with the video in the podcast. And again, Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us. You've been super helpful in educating us all on this.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me, Pascal. It's been a true, true honor.
All right. Take care. Have a good day.
You too.